Alright, so a piece of nanny state legislation has been proposed in my home state, the state I was born and raised in, as well as, well, the state I currently reside in, Indiana. So this probably won't affect you unless you already live in a large metropolitan area, which I'm sure this already takes place in, or you're a fellow Hoosier. So a piece of legislation has basically been unilaterally approved by the Health Committee and will be passed on to vote. Basically, if this law passes, it will then raise the legal age to buy a pack of cigarettes or any other tobacco products in Indiana to the age of 21 instead of 18. The only exception to this law would be if someone is in the military and has an active military identification card. So essentially a piece of bootlicking bullshit. If this law is also passed, it would also place additional taxes on tobacco products, I believe an increase of $1, as well as smoking restrictions at the workplace as well. Now, I've been very open about my nicotine addiction in the past, and it was a very challenging thing to overcome. However, just because I quit smoking and feel better, I don't think that other people should not be allowed to smoke if they are able to be drafted into active service. And to be honest with you guys, this is a very, very, very vital point of Indiana's economy. They may not want to admit it, but it really is, at least with out-of-staters. For example, a couple years ago in Cook County and in Chicago, and I think this is what inspired this bill, a piece of legislation got passed that would raise the legal age to buy cigarettes in Cook County to 21 years old. I believe there are similar sets of circumstances in Michigan. The plus from this, though, is that Indiana then gets more revenue from people coming out of state to buy smokes. It kind of is the same with people over here going to Illinois on Sunday to buy liquor, because the state of Indiana does not allow the sale of liquor on a Sunday. Now, this seems like a short-term but also long-term plan to try to relieve the tax burden of the Indiana healthcare. However, I feel like when pieces of legislation like this get passed, it's essentially the state telling you that you're not allowed to make your own decisions. At this point, the American public does know the dangers and the possible addiction potential of nicotine. It is up to their choice when they become 18 to choose whether or not they use this substance. We do not need the state enforcing rules like this when adults are willing and capable on their own to make their own decisions and regulate what goes and does not go into their body. And once again, this is why I'm on principle against such things such as the war on drugs or the prohibition of marijuana or the drinking age being 21. I think that if you can vote and that if you can be enlisted and die in a field somewhere in some foreign land, you ought to be able to enjoy the benefits and the other luxuries that everybody else in an age group above you can get. However, I believe that this piece of legislation that the health community has put forth to vote is a bit ignorant about what nicotine addiction is. And I'm seriously willing to bet that most of them have never even puffed on a cigarette in their life. Which, once again, if you're aiming to eradicate smoking within lower age populations, you just won't get your desired outcome by slapping people with a bunch of fines. Perhaps I would have just a bit more respect for this bill if maybe it focused more on rehabilitating nicotine addicts, and maybe also pushed for more education on this topic. I also tend to think that this is a slap to the face to the civilian population of Indiana by telling them that their nicotine addiction they should just get over, and if they don't and they're under 21, they now have the additional hardship of either A, continuing their habit illegally, or B, going cold turkey and going through intense withdrawal symptoms. Whilst the state of Indiana's government caters to the military's nicotine addictions by allowing them to continue purchasing nicotine and tobacco products. And I would also go on to say that this is just a blatant double standard. It's either all or nothing. Stop granting special kickbacks to the military population. I'm tired of this bootlicking bullshit. It should either be 100% one way or 100% the other. I also think, and this is a closing statement, that this brings up a bigger debate. See, back in 2015, when I had just turned 18, I consistently talked to my friends about how It's either going to be, everything's going to be reduced to 18 years old, or everything's going to be pushed up to 21 years old. And if everything does get pushed up to 21 years old countrywide, well, the last thing that probably will be the age for selective service. And to that I say, bullshit. Should I face the possibility of being drafted into active duty, I should also be able to do all these other things. Until next time.